as that shows up on the live side.
Right. Hello,
Okay.
everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're just going to get started right off the bat. My name is Karina. I will be directing the plan for this webinar. It'll be super casual. We're just having a discussion on what GAI is, our mission, and how this program can fit into your life. Or if you're so it's geared towards families and practitioners. If you're a family here visiting with us and learning more, it's how it can fit into your life. And if you're a practitioner, how our program might fit into the lives of the children you're working with and their families. To introduce who's with us today, we do have Dr. Howard Savin. He's the director and founder of GAI. And then we have Dr. Michael Reed, who is the other director, and Benita and Ehab, who are support specialists on the ground who would be working directly with you. Just a quick overview of what we're going to go over today. We're going to discuss what GAI is, how this works, how it fits into your life. You are more than welcome to put any questions into the chat that's on the side of this video. Just know that we will be waiting till the end to address any of those. We do want this to go for about an hour. If we have extra time, we'll keep answering those questions. But if we can't get to them during this, just know that there is a link in the description under this video, and you can email those to us and we'll get to those right away. Great. So I think that covers all of it. We're just going to dive right in and get started. We'll get started with Dr. Howard Savin. He is, again, the director and founder of GAI. Howard, I would love to get some feedback from you and information on what inspired you to start GAI and what GAI is.
Well, thank you, Karina. My name is Howard Savin. I'm a child psychologist, and I've worked with special needs children in all types of capacities in direct practice for 14 or 15 years. I served as the Chief Clinical Officer of the Devereux Foundation, which is a nationwide child servicing organization that's been in business for over 100 years in America. After that, I started the first company, independent company, to manage insurance benefits for autistic children, and so on and so forth. I've consulted to a variety of organizations and been on a number of boards. I've written papers, published a book, but most importantly, my goal at this stage was to bring credible, effective autism services to parts of the world where there were either few services, few quality services, or the geography and cost didn't permit servicing at all. And with the virtual method, the telehealth method, we actually can come right into the home and family environment with lots of privacy, which is the ideal environment for working with autistic children and parents to get everybody together and on board, to build communication for the providers at GAI, who I'm very proud of, to have that credibility, that maturity, so it comes through that you're in the presence of a helper. And we work on general areas of self-regulation and moving towards autonomy. So as children, the home and then the school community are what's important. And we want our children to be able to be in better control of themselves, their behavior, and to be able to function more and more independently in home, community, and school environments.
Awesome. It sounds like a very accessible way to actually get these services on a global perspective, which is harder to come by in some areas than others. Michael, I know you've worked in a lot of places around the world. What is what inspired you to get involved with GAI with that foundation you have in your career? What inspired you to go this direction?
Yeah, as always, good questions. Sorry, Tessa, by the way, everyone, excuse my croaky voice. I've been a bit unwell the last few days, but I'm on the mend. So I just apologize if I'm a bit croaky or lose a bit of voice in a minute. So Karina, what's interesting about the international scene with regard to autism is that there's one thing that doesn't change wherever you are, and that is the nature of the autism itself, and the challenges that it presents for not just the individual, but often for the family, the broader family as well. And indeed, of course, even we can extrapolate that out to the community in general, because of course, more and more these days, with our increased understanding and with the increased number of people being diagnosed, for whatever reason, we're still not clear on why those numbers have increased. But there's a number of theories. What I can say absolutely definitively is that it is nothing to do with vaccines. We get asked that question quite a lot, but there is no evidence that vaccines, the MMA vaccine, can contribute to the risk of developing autism. Anyway, so as I've worked around the world, the autism itself may remain the same, but of course the difference is a culture. And culture has a huge impact on the way, not just the way in which we work with people, and not just people with autism, but just generally there are cultural influences, if you like, that mean that what we might do here, let's say in the United States, or where I'm from in New Zealand, or in Europe, or wherever it might be, the way in which we have to treat individuals will have to evolve in order to take account of those cultural issues and familial issues. And by that, what I mean is, as I go around the world, what I see is varying degrees of family involvement. And I don't just mean the child and the parents, but also, in some cultures, far more likely to have, say, grandparents in the home. And aunts and uncles or other siblings and so on. And we can't ignore those things. We have to make sure that when we're working for the individual, the child, with the family and so on, that everyone that is interacting with the child is let's call it responding to them in the same way. So when the little boy or the little girl exhibits a behavior that is a bit challenging, perhaps, which sometimes happens, as we all know, that mum and dad and aunt and uncle and brother and sister, we're all kind of responding as closely to the same way as we can. So that way we get what we call consistency. And with consistency, we tend to get better outcomes. That's just a fact. And the bottom line, Karina, is that all of the research and all of our experience can confirm that to this day, the people who have the single most important, single biggest influence on a child is the parents. And what happens now is we take them out of the home. They go to school. They may go to other services and what have you. And we're kind of have a loop that's still open at the bottom. We're not closing that loop. And by coming into the home and working with the family as a whole, in the privacy of their own home and what have you, as they learn the skills and that other people are using with their child in schools and in centres and things, then what we do is we close that gap. And then it becomes more effective. The whole system becomes more effective. So that's, as I say, autism itself, pretty much the same everywhere. What changes are us, the people, and our cultures. And we cannot ignore that. We have to make it effective and culturally valid. So from a universal perspective.
So GAI, just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, in summary, is meant to bring the family involvement into the care of the child, close that gap with all these other aspects of autism, training, services that they're receiving, bring it into their home so that it's accessible anywhere in the world, adds that compassion element, that teaching element, and is very, to me, it sounds very custom to each person's need.
Very much
as
so.
well.
Very much so. And Howard, I'm sure will talk to this as well. But you know what we know is that when we build a relationship with our children, the child in this case, the parents and the family build that relationship, and there's mutual understanding and respect and clear and good healthy communication. When we do all of those things, then what we get, we get greater progress. And the key thing to understand is when we get outcomes, by outcomes I mean that when we get changes in behavior and so on, they last longer. They're more instilled in the individual. So they become more self-autonomous and self-reliant rather than reliant on others. So that's really the aim here, is to really augment and collaborate with other services, but fill in that bit at the home, that in-home aspect.
I'd like to add
Howard,
one point.
I know you'll have something to say.
One point.
Go for it, Howard.
We're particularly interested in involving siblings in that loop. They can be victims of the process. One child is getting extra care and attention, another one is not. It's important that they understand and become part of that process so they don't risk becoming victimized by that process. So sibling involvement is a critical component of what we weave into the mix.
And it being
absolutely.
in the home, I would assume it allows it to be a little bit more accessible and allow these families to understand more how to apply it in an actual daily life, because they're already in that setting, right? So the setting seems to have a big part of this aspect.
It's an ideal setting.
Yeah, and just to help everyone understand, and I know there's a number of providers here today as well, so they know this, but so that we're all kind of operating with the same understanding. What we're talking about here is finding really positive ways to work with the child. Now, we're not talking about anything soft and fluffy. We're talking about evidence-based approaches to working with a child who has autism or a related disorder of some description, but what we are focusing on are what we call positive behavior supports. Okay, so what we're saying is, in the old days, punishment was very much the basis for some of these programs, and certainly punishment can work. It can keep a behavior under control, but then the problem with it is that means we need to always be there. Because we're not there to punish, what we see is that the behaviors return. So positive behavior supports, and then starting from a really person-centered perspective. So, and we call it person-centered planning. And that, people say, well, of course, well, how could you not do that? Well, in reality, it doesn't happen all that often. In fact, what we need to be saying and understanding is, what does the person want? Where do they see themselves? I understand that some of this is going to be to different degrees. That there are some that have greater skills than others and so on. But, what we want to do is make sure we start with the right philosophy, and positive behavior supports and person-centered planning are those beginning points, the underpinning of the way in which we work that really makes the difference, to be honest.
Ehab, you're on the ground. You're a support specialist with GAI. Can you give us some more insight into these details that Michael's hit on, and how this evidence-based autism training is actually being applied in the services you're offering and the work you're doing?
Perfect.
Yep. Hi.
Well, we've got your desktop. There we go. But we didn't have your document. We had your document for a second there, but no worries.
Technology.
This is technology, as you know. Yeah. Hi, Corinne, and hi, everyone. This is Ihab Musa. I am a qualified behavior analyst. I'm working as a behavior specialist in Khalifa School in Kuwait City, state of Kuwait, for past 5 years. And I'm working as a clinical supervisor for the candidates for studying for their credentials in Autonomous Education Center, as online consultation for the courses of applied behavior analysis, which is the highly recommended, which called ABA, and which is popular with ABA here in the Arab world or on the globe. ABA is the most common evidence-based give support education to the children who are diagnosed with ASD. And my experience and my relationship with GAI, what I like from their perspective is training parents, involve parents in the process of teaching and educating, supporting, accepting, and working with their children. Without acceptance, I'm talking about the parents and the family who are the main caregiver of the child who joined a school. It's fine. He's gonna for 5 hours, 8 hours, center 3-4 hours, but the ideal environmental setting is home. Community is the main or the core setting we need to focus on, because as a human being, as a child who are diagnosed with autism or other developmental disability, he has behaviors, he has to communicate, he has feelings, and we need to understand him or her. So the parents are the main or the core domain we need to focus on to support them, to educate them how to accept, how to love, how to build good relationship with their children, so they can be not only the core caregiver who's going to provide the education or the support. No, they can be the one of the core. So the school or the center, the therapist, the behavior analyst, the teacher. So mom and dad can do a lot for their children, because they are not only mom and dad, they can be also a teacher and a builder of their children's life. So let me share like a good
While you're doing that, Ehab, I agree. Just to endorse what you were saying there. As parents, I think we are teachers, aren't we? And we're expected to know what to do when we have a child from day one. And of course, like they used to say, you need a license to drive a car, but you don't need a license to be a parent. So you know, it's so critical that we close that gap that we were talking about.
I think that's why I like the term support specialist. You're supporting this family. You're not necessarily, you know, taking over to control, but that support aspect, the emphasis on
building
that,
skills
I think is
within
really
family.
powerful. Sorry, continue. Yeah,
it's a good discussion. I like it. Yes, Dr. Michael, we are educators, we are specialists, but parents still parents. They have their emotions and feelings about what is the future of their children, which is the core domain of their life. And as you said, autism spectrum disorder is a developmental disorder which affects communication, socialization, behavior, and it is long life disorder. So we need to be more inclusive and supportive to the parents and the children. Parents need our support, need our acceptance, our love. Then education and work or our profession with the children is going to come. And with that, parents can move forward, or they are going to break down, because, you know, daily life pressures for everyone. It happens. Life is still not easy to be lived. So as you mentioned, Dr. Michael, previously, ASD students are diagnosed with many characteristics and behaviors, and we need to understand autism. When we understand autism, this is the essential part. We need to understand their abilities, their strengths, their behaviors. They are not shouting because they want to shout. They are doing that because they cannot communicate. They cannot request. So the thing is here, my words, my lovely words is awareness and acceptance. We need the parents to be more aware about the disorder. They need to accept their children, then they can support these children in their homes and the community as well.
Compassion, right?
Okay.
Building that compassion.
Yeah, compassion. Yes, compassion. Thank you, Karina. This is the whole word. Yeah. Here is the thing. Let me talk about a little bit about evidence-based strategies. If a child, as an educator or professional, Dr. Michael, Mr. Howard, if we're going to talk about autism, most of the parents, their difficulty, the first one is communication. How my child is going to talk, is going to communicate, because most of challenging problem behaviors because of lack of communication. If I can ask what I want, I will not scream, I will not hit, I will not shout when we are in the market. I will not grab your hand or scream or hit others to get anything. No, I'm going to ask. So the most important evidence-based strategy is support communication in individual with autism. And most of them, they have no voice, nonverbal individuals, so we can use the alternative communication ways such as AAC devices or picture exchange communication system, which is PICS, and they are highly effective to be implemented with the children, as I see in my school or in the community, because here also we are doing home and center-based therapy. Most of these alternative communication ways are very effective. So the child, when he get the way how he or she can communicate appropriately, challenging behaviors are going to be less. Also, if we are going to talk about socializations, the students or the children who are diagnosed with ASD, they have also lack of social skills. So we need to support them in social skill training, which can train these individuals to learn how to initiate, to maintain conversation, to understand social expectations, to deal with siblings and others. As Howard said right now, if there is one child who is diagnosed with ASD, the focus of the family, the interest is going to be on him or her. So other siblings is going to feel jealous or another things, because they are still children. They cannot understand what we are doing.
So social skills
Okay.
is also adding that dynamic of the family environment, not just, what we think as going out and socializing with friends. There's still that social aspect in the home. And so we're bringing that into the home, or GAI is bringing that into the home. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You did great. Imagine that there is a family gathering and the child who is diagnosed with ASD is in the corner playing with a toy car, and the others are socializing and playing together. Do you think this is effective way of socialization? Exactly. No, most of the families, I think, and here in the Arab world, we have these habits. They are preferring to be at home, otherwise going out with their children, because they are afraid that any behaviors, anything may happen outside. So I think they are thinking about that, how to prepare the family to face the community. If my child is trained in the center, in the playground, in the market, how to deal with my child and others, because maybe, Corina, people are still have their interest to look here and there. Please help him, give him what they want. They are little child, but they do not know what is your child is.
Mm-hmm.
You got my point? So I'm gonna here to move on what you mentioned, Dr. Michael, before challenging behaviors. If we are
Yes.
human beings, we're still doing behaviors till the end of our life. And here I'm going to talk more about applied behavior analysis, ABA. ABA is a science, and as I said, it is the most evidence-based science which has effective strategies, data-driven implementation can change the lives of students with autism because it is applied. Applied means what? Applied means focus on socially significant behavior, what is meaningful, what is going to provide practical, meaningful change in the child life. This is what applied behavior analysis is going to promote: positive behavior, reduce challenging behaviors, and also ABA strategies are effective in improving social skills, communication, and how to deal with situations, because we can create some situations, and by modeling, the child who is diagnosed with ASD can understand what is going on. So when he is out in the community, school, center, he can deal with others in a proper way, which is our aim in GAI, how to involve these students and their families in the community, and they can do their best for their children as well.
Good. Can I just summarize something there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think what I'm hearing from you, and I agree with you, is that if a child doesn't have an alternative way to communicate what it is that they want or need, then often those behaviors are a result of not having a different option. So would it be fair to say that what we're doing is really coming in and helping the parents to develop those options with the child to say, hey, you don't need to hit me, you don't need to throw something, you don't need to scream, right? All you need to do is this other thing that is more socially appropriate, but now they have an alternative. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yep. You are right. You did it good. As I'm gonna to mention an example from what I did in my school. Because I'm the behavior specialist in the school, most of the children who are diagnosed with ASD, if they are young, between the age of 6 till 10 years old, they are exhibiting problem behaviors because lack of communication and other sensory disorders. Let's talk about lack of communication. What I did, Dr. Michael, I created like a small board, not big, small board. I called it basic communication needs. On basic communication needs, I put the picture of food, water, toilet, break, help, walk, blocks, some of the basic
basic
needs.
communication.
If you are crying, just look here. What do you want? Just grab a picture. So, some of these students, the teachers give me feedback. He grabbed the picture of water. When he get 2 or 3 sips of water, he comes down and he sit and he get back to work. You get the point? It's easy.
Yeah.
It's only 1 minute, and the child get back and he did great.
That's good. And straightforward. It's not complex in that regard. I mean, what you've just given as an example there of a communication device that you made yourself that was not wasn't using technology particularly. But so and the other point to make, Ehab, that sort of thing is transportable, meaning that's a tool that the child can use elsewhere as well, not just in the home.
Mm-hmm.
You are right, and as you know, Beck's vector change communication system was created by Dr. Andy Bondi and Dr. Florist. Their main goal, their core criteria is to reach the child can reach spontaneous way of communication. So our goal, the child can express himself, can communicate. So he is in the world. He is in the community. If I can ask, I can get what I want. I can share my feelings, even by words, by gesture, by pictures. So I'm here. I'm not only exhibiting like shouting or other problem behaviors. So communication play a good part here.
That's good.
Very good.
And Okay. Let's move here on the importance of parents-child bonds. Here, strong parent-child bond is crucial for overall development and well-being of the child. Start from communication. Let's focus here, please. When the child feels loved, supported, and secure in their relationship with parents first, he comes to me from home. He get his shower, he get dressed well, he is neat, he's happy, he got a kiss from mom or dad, he's gonna to come fresh, active, he's gonna to enter school or center and he did great. Other vice versa can make sense as well. So here, if the child is loved, supported, secure with their parents first, this can develop positive self-esteem and sense of belonging with their parents, and this can build healthy emotional and social development for the child. As I mentioned, love me, support me, let me say, I'm going to do what you want.
That's good.
Furthermore, the sense of security and confidence. Yes, we need to build confidence and maintain mental health and well-being in the child relationship with the parents. Is the child has his own area, small area at home, like 1 by 1 meter. He has his toys. This is my area which I can go through and play there. This is my things, my property. No one can do it, only me. The child feel that he has something, and this can make the child less experienced to behavior problems, anxiety, depression, or other mental health issues in his or her life.
So would it be fair to say, Ehab, would it be fair to say that part of what we're doing here is really not just helping the parents to understand the child, but the child to understand also that they too have alternative ways that they can get their needs met. But that's where we come in, and where we help the parents teach the child and so on. Is that kind of what you're driving at there?
Yeah, Dr. Michael, what I like in JAI, that we are going to say to the parents that you are not alone, and you are going to be supported, educated with professionals who are in the field, who has the experience and knowledge, evidence-based. You need to understand, so you are going to make change in your child life.
Yeah, it's building that team, right? So you have the sorry, you have the professional in this world, but then you have, the parents really the all-knowing of their child. So it really does take those two to tango. It really takes those two, I think, to have a fully developed team, is that parent and that support specialist, that they're both going to blend their knowledge to really help facilitate what that child needs.
Yeah. You are right. Most of the parents now, they have the idea about what is autism, but they need to expand their knowledge and how to deal with the child outside home. Inside home they can control, but outside home the community is still a big environment that we need to manage. So other strategies to build and strengthen the relationship between child and parents is prioritize communication. We know that the parents still the parents, he has work, or mom has her work and housework as well, but the child need us means the parents to sit and communicate. Prioritizing communication is very, very important with the child who is diagnosed with ASD. So the parents should create open, safe space for their children to express their feelings, their needs, and this is going to make their bond with the child more stronger and more comfortable as well. Another thing is spend quality time together. Here social media is everywhere, and most, that Dr. Michael, tablets does not have anything if we use it in a good way, but most of the children now, they knew that there is YouTube, there are other apps that they can occupy their time, and it's useless. They cannot get any benefits. So screens and tablets, they are not responsible for autism, but they can increase some of the characteristics of autism, like lack of communication and social interaction, because the child put his two eyes on the screen and they are looking at it and they are not communicating. So the role of the parents here to build quality time. Quality time means we are out of everything, even our phones, and we are playing, cooking, running with the child, which is going to have a meaningful impact on the child development.
Yeah. I'd like to just pick up on a couple of things if I can, Ehab. You talked a little bit about anxiety and depression and so on. I'd particularly like to talk about anxiety just for a second and in relation to autism. You know, one of the things that people sometimes don't realize or understand is that behavior itself is a communication. You know, in the absence of verbal communication or being able to write it or ask, just, you know, use language, they use alternatives and to get their needs met. And often, particularly when that's a behavior that can be a bit challenging, that can be very much about anxiety-driven behavior. And people with autism can really struggle with anxiety. And so one of the things that we have to, in our kind of compassionate approach, is help people to understand that the more structure, the more predictability and what have you that the child has within their environment, the less anxious they will be, because they know what's going to happen next and so on. And so therefore, sorry, my voice is going, I'll have to be quiet.
No, go
ahead. Excuse me. And because the anxiety is less, the challenging behaviors are fewer, but only if we're also providing them with an alternative way to communicate what it is that they need. I think I just wanted to make that point about anxiety, because there is a lot. So it's a real underpinning thing in behavior and autism. Howard, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to take a look at the parents' role in all of this, and it's reducing it down to basics. We're helping the parents learn what to pay attention to and what not to pay attention to, and just discriminating what we're going to reinforce by giving attention and what we're going to ignore gives us the leverage that we need. But that it takes some learning and understanding to get to that point. So it's very simple and basic concept, and very critical in terms of getting the job done.
What would you say is what would you say is the message that, you know, to the providers that we have on this webinar that will be watching it? And, you know, we've talked a lot about the parents' involvement, and we've hit on what the program does for the parent, but what is the message to the providers that are also joining us of where they fit into the process of passing on the information that this program is available to these parents and these families?
Yeah, I can take that, and others can jump in if they have something additional to say. When I was speaking earlier, I talked about, I kind of envisage it as a circle that's got a gap at the bottom, and that we're trying to close that gap. But when we close that gap, all of those other things, aspects of the person's life, don't disappear. They're still there. So they still have wider family, they still have community, they still go to school or they go to a centre and so on. And what we're trying here to do is to pull all that together and augment for other providers as well. So what we're saying is, hey, you're working with, you know, Amir or whoever, you know, Johnny in the school and so on, but you don't know what's happening when they go home, and when they return the next day, maybe there's been some ground lost. You know, maybe it's been a crisis and they've lost some of that. So what we're here to do is really augment and tie those services together to make them more effective across the span of the individual's kind of day, of their life, so that that gap is closed and that we can be more effective. And that means, of course, that, so if you are a provider out there, what we're saying is contact us, work with us. Let's talk about how we can, get those services into the home as well. And so that we can, as I say, close that little gap that's at the moment.
Close that gap. Awesome. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's complete it. It's
Yeah. We've got some background noise there. I think it might be you, Benita.
Benita, you have, yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
It's a great thing about technology.
The joys of technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Dr. Michael, for this clarification. Yes, I agree with as what you said. If there is any provider, yeah, we are in GAI, we can go through the process, and I'm gonna to say, if there is two individuals who are diagnosed with ASD, they cannot be the same. Each one is unique. So if you are going to be in the process, we are here to support and to let you know how to do it in a correct way. Okay. Another strategy to show to the parents is consistency in discipline, which is very important to establish clear consequences. If you did this, this is going to happen. Like grandma law. Eat vegetables. I'm going to give you one part of chocolate. Parents need to be strict about rules, consequences, which have a good impact on their children's behaviors, and this maintain their child well-being. Parents need to educate themselves. GAI play a good part here to educate and support and give the proper way for the parents to get the knowledge, experience, interventions, how to deal with the child via evidence-based strategies and techniques. The last is seeking out proper support and education, and this part by accessing proper support and resources, staying informed, taking care of themselves as parents. And here we need, we are caring a lot about the children, but also our parents were caring about you, because you are the main domain in the child life. You are the one in the whole world who care a lot about their children lives and how to be well-being in the future. That's why I mentioned taking care of parents themselves.
Yeah, self-care is as important as, absolutely.
Yeah, You're right. Parents can better navigate the challenges when the child with autism and help their child thrive well. If they are healthier, they are going to build more and more and better life for their children. And the parents, as I said, from my experience here in schools and centers everywhere, the child is going to get the services, but he is going to back for his natural environment, which is home. And in home, if the parents are ready, they have the experience and knowledge, they are going to make better and meaningful change in their children's lives. And GAI can cover this part professionally and ethically very well.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you, Karina.
Thanks for that, Ehad. I do have just a quick question. Benita, I know you're working in Dubai, and I mean, given what we've been talking about and me talking about that gap and what have you, is that home piece, is that what you're seeing on the ground here in terms of what's missing in services? What's your experience?
Yes, Michael. When we are working, we are working in the clinical setting over here with different children and giving them the different therapies that they require. The things that we see that because we work on them through our different strategies, they are able to show some results and they gain some skills because we work on their fundamental communication skills and their life skills. So they are able to acquire those skills in the setup of the clinic. But what we are looking at is to generalize these skills to the different settings, whether school, whether home, community. We are looking at generalizing those skills for our learners and the other clients. So this would not happen unless, as you say, the circle is complete. So that's where we are looking at. We would not be there always 24/7 with the children, even if they have acquired the skills in the setting that we have taught them. It is very, very important to get it generalized. So we need to have parents, caregivers, and other people who are involved and close to the children and their lives to be a part of this. And the communication, we understand. We have been working with them. We work with them day and night. So we are in this field for n number of years. We understand the way they communicate. Okay, this behavior is because of this. Let's teach them the alternative behavior of serving the same purpose and giving them what they want and getting and asking for it. However, the other caregivers, everybody's not on the equal page of understanding the child's communication, and that's where it's important for them also to have certain amount of skills that we understand, because after all, the challenging behaviors that we are facing is a way of communication by the learner and the child. So if we don't understand the way they are communicating, how would we able to, first of all, teach them the alternative way? And also it will always be trying to change the child. And we are all focusing on the person-centric program. So we need to understand the child first. And this is where GAI will be able to help the caregivers, the parents, and everybody who would want to understand the child better and help the child and do what the child would want to do. Of course, as we grew up learning things, we had a choice of learning the things ourselves in our way as much as possible. But unfortunately, because these children have a limited source of communicating, or else I should put it, we don't understand their communication well.
Yeah, we don't speak.
We are
We
not
don't
able
always
to.
speak their
Yeah, we
language,
don't
do we?
their language. So this is where we can build our capacities to understand them better, and that would completely change the upbringing and development for them.
And what I'm hearing is, we keep hearing that communication, don't we? That word, and it really is core. It does underpin everything. When we can communicate effectively and help people to understand our needs and why we feel the way we feel and so on, then things can, we can respond better.
Yes.
Yeah. So we do have a couple questions rolling in, and I think this is a good place to answer some of those. And then we were going to wait till the end, but I think it is a good time to start addressing some of these. We've talked about the importance of it. We've talked about what we're working on, what the goals are, why it's in the home, all these very important aspects. But when it comes down to it, how does this program work, right? What are the steps? How does a family get involved with this program? How do they get started? And then how does that fit into their life? What are these steps that they would be following if they do reach out to GAI and they're saying, I want to be involved with this program? A, how do they let you know that they want to be involved? And then B, how does it get started? What do those steps look like in a very practical, laid out sense?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to jump in and just start, and then people can kind of join in as they need to. So relatively straightforward in terms of the getting started question. First of all, there's no obligations here. That you contact us. What we want is a kind of 30+ minute time where we can meet with you as online, so we can discuss things, learn more about the family and the situation and the child themselves. Because we're talking about very individualized approaches here, so what we build, if you like, as a plan with one family might look very different with another family. So it's quite hard to kind of say, oh, you just do this, this, and this, and we plug that in, and it all gets fixed. I mean, it's not how it works. So in terms of getting started, the website, globalautisminitiative.com, but also in the link of, there's a link in the description below in this, on the YouTube site as well. That's a contact form. What we ask is just flick us a message. We'll get back to you and arrange a time. And really in that time where we spend that time together, we're simply wanting to learn about your aspirations with your child and the situation, so that we can start to develop a person-centered plan with the parents. We don't develop this and plug it in and just say, here you go away and do it. There are several sessions. So what we do is we try and help the parents or the caregivers or family members learn some of the techniques and indeed even some of the language we use professionally, because it's quite important that we all talk the same language when we're working together as well. So but what we want here is to help work with the family to build a plan that is sustainable, that is accessible, meaning, if they've only got limited time because they're out at work each day and don't get home till 7 o'clock in the evening and everything like that, we need to make this something that is not going to further burden people. So then what happens is people work through online material. It's just knowledge, it's just information, things that you need to learn and understand and what have you about your child, building that relationship, the compassion and so on. And as you do that, I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice again. As we do that, one of the support specialists, someone like Ehab or Benita, will over 12 sessions will meet with you online like this, just so it's a two-way conversation, and work through not just help to clarify some of the knowledge that you're gathering, that I read this, but I didn't really understand what it meant. So they would help you with that, but also to troubleshoot, well, we did that last week and, we still had this behavior, or it didn't work, or, so what we do is we look at what happened and we work through it with the parents, say, maybe this is what we can try next time. Remember, these things aren't 1 or 0. They don't work or don't work. Sometimes things have to be tweaked just a little bit and then they start to work more over time. So there's no miracle cures here, but what we are doing by closing that gap that we keep talking about is really bringing the effectiveness of everything together in one place. And with the parents closing that gap, it really makes all the difference. So we have to do that in a sustainable way, as I say.
So essentially they're reaching out, setting up a consultation. I think so. So essentially they're reaching out, they're setting up a consultation, you're getting the information you need to make this a personalized program. Typically it's 12 sessions that they're meeting with Benita, Ehab, working on the things they've been learning, applying those things, adjusting it as they go. Say they complete these 12 sessions, they complete the program.
Yeah.
Is there ongoing resources that they have access to that this program gives them?
Yeah, I mean, so basically what we want to do, and that's why it's good that there are some providers here. We want to work with providers as well. We want to say, let's look at what you're doing there, and so that we can tie what we're doing here into what you're doing there, and sort of make it more consistent. With the support specialists that we have available, the concept basically is, yes, we go through the formal program, but then there's also, okay, in our work, we have this thing called fading, okay? And what we mean by that is that in the beginning, you might be very involved, because you might have the skills and you have to keep on top of it, and it's very intensive. But over time, as the individual, the child starts to take on new ways to communicate their needs, more socially appropriate ways, and so on, and so things are maybe not so intensive, then what we do is we'll fade over time. So that might start in the beginning with, okay, would you like to continue to meet each week for a period of time? Yeah, for the next month, yeah, that's great. And then over time might be, where actually things are getting better, things are improving. Can we call you if we need you or something like that? Yeah. So what we're trying to do is be as flexible as possible, without people feeling like they've been abandoned just because they finished the program. Howard, do you have anything to add to what I've just said?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about really inherently individualized services that can ideally, uh, in 12 sessions working with parent and child, can accomplish quite a bit. But if there are, depending on the needs, severity, if there are individual behaviors or skills that need more focus, that can proceed primarily on a one-on-one with the child, talking to the parents maybe once a month if you going forward in that basis. But it can only be understood on an individualized basis, starting with the 30-minute consultation. The good news is that the earlier services begin, the better. Younger children, particularly children younger than the age of 6, have made great progress. And there's 50 years of research that says by 2nd grade, they're indistinguishable from neurotypical children. Older kids can take a little bit longer to make some headway. There's a lot of factors, but we can generally move pretty quickly and get to the point where individual work with a child may be desired or recommended, and we'll take it from there. We need to talk about rates. I think whether it's Michael or Benita or Ehab, I believe our rates are competitive with the marketplace in Dubai. Michael, maybe you could speak to that a bit.
Yeah, people say, well, how much does it cost? Well, the problem is there is no set price, because what we by nature of a program being individualized, the intensiveness of our work or what have you will vary. So, what we, although I know it doesn't help you today, and remember the consultation's free of charge, there's no cost or anything. So once we've had that consultation, we're then in a better position to be able to say, for what we're looking at with you and your child, that we're, it's this much. I think the important thing, so there's no set price at this stage. However, I do think it's really important to just acknowledge what Howard said, which is everything's very competitive in terms of services in the region. We don't want price to be the barrier. We obviously, our services need to be sustainable, so that, but at the end of the day, we don't want that to be the barrier, and we will work with a family as best we can to make things available. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's part of that global approach, right? Fitting our
it has
access to what's.
Mm-hmm. It's all very well. We're very privileged. I just for everyone's interest, you may find interesting. I'm a New Zealander, but I'm actually living in California. Ehab's in Kuwait. Howard is in Philadelphia, and so we're even this call is all over the world. So what we can do here is what this tells us is technology can help it make these things accessible. And let me just say this: the final thing I'll say is, this is also a researched approach. When we talk about telehealth, working at a distance like this, we unfortunately had a world event, COVID-19. But what COVID-19 told us, when we had to continue, we couldn't just abandon people. We needed to continue working with them. Mm-hmm. So we moved to telehealth, and what that told us, and what all the data now is, as it's being analyzed, is continuing to tell us, is that telehealth can be as, if not in the right setting, more effective than face-to-face services. So that varies by individual, obviously, but what we know, what we can have confidence in, is that this isn't a poor cousin of in-person services. This is every bit as effective but accessible anywhere in the world that can have an internet connection, and we know that that's improving all the time.
How would a practitioner go about getting say they're working with a family? Would they have to send that family directly to GAI to set up this consultation? Are they able to send us the information and recommend them, and we reach out? How would you say that practitioners can go about connecting us to their families for services?
Well, in Dubai specifically, given that's our kind of focus today, I think the key is use the same form. Contact us. We're not sure yet ourselves, are we? Really, because what one person, one provider, the way they see us fitting in with what they do may be very different to way, say another provider sees us fitting in. So I think the key here is contact us. Let's talk. Let's talk if you're a parent. Let's talk if you're a provider. Let's talk if you're a government minister. We can help. We have a broad and wide variety of skills, massive experience. I'm sure between Howard and I, particularly, probably into the hundreds of years, maybe. But we've been around a while, and because we've been working globally in other aspects of our work, the need for this really presented itself. This is crazy. We seem to be missing what it could be, arguably the most important aspect of treatment. Contact us. Let's have a call. Let's work out how we can work together in the best interest of the family and the child.
Cool. I mean, simple enough, right? Let's all work together and figure it out. Awesome.
Yeah.
Does anybody else
very appropriate in the current climate around the world.
Yep, fair. Does anybody else, if you have any questions, if anybody has any other questions, you're more than welcome again to put them in that chat. We'll be on here for a couple more minutes. So if you think of those, throw them in. If you get off of this call and you remember a question, again, our contact sheet form link is in the description underneath this video. So you're welcome to click on that and send those questions in, contact us about anything. But in the meantime, while we wait to see if any of those questions come in, does anybody else on this call have anything else that we missed or you'd like to highlight or that you think is really important to be included in this webinar?
Give Howard the last word. Away you go, Howard.
No, I'm proud and pleased with the information delivered. I would reinforce that an active training period with parents or parent and child or caretaker and child is an essential beginning point for anyone doing autism or special needs developmental disability treatment. So we pride ourselves on really being masterful on the front end. So let's see where it all goes. And I'm very pleased that we're presenting to parents out there today and look forward to doing more of the same with folks on the ground.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good, Howard. And my last word for it is contact us. What we want to do is develop a local solution for people in your region. As I say, the autism might be the same, but culturally and familiarly, things can be quite different. So that's what we're here to do.
Mm-hmm. And also any feedback. I think if there's things that are missing, right? If there's a need there that is not being addressed because of some cultural discrepancy or miscommunication or something that we're not connecting on, that is also welcome. I think it seems to me that the GAI relationship, the overall arching theme is compassion and collaboration, right? So
and to pick up on what Ehab spent so much time referring to, it's communication. If we're all communicating with each other, tell us what it is that you need. Talk to us about the challenges and the barriers and what have you. The more we know, the more information we have, the more we can work to try to evolve and come up with solutions. So don't be afraid. Get in touch. It costs nothing, and if the more we talk, the more we communicate, the more we will be able to come up with a local solution for the people in the Dubai, the UAE and the Gulf area.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You mean, Dr. Michael, just fill the form, and we are here to do our best to support.
Yep, basically. Yeah, thanks for keeping it simple, Ehab.
I knew there was a
Okay.
reason they kept you around. Well, wonderful. I don't see any questions popping up. That's more than okay, but we are going to wrap up then. Again, you can visit us at globalautisminitiative.com. There is a contact link underneath this video. We'll also be sending out an email after this to everybody that attended and wasn't able to attend. You can rewatch this video. You can email us. You can respond to the email that's sent to you, anything you'd like. Again, start with a 30-minute consultation video so we can see what's needed, start from there, and really just work together with collaborating on how best to help these families and create a comforting environment. So we thank you for joining us. Yes, their own environment, what makes them comfortable, what makes them, thrive and happy, again, feel loved. And like Ehab said, they feel loved and accepted. So that's I think all we have for you all today. So
Thank you, Karina. You did a great job.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye. Bye, everybody.